views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
This show's audio was via a Skype call.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Angel Healing House Radio. My name is Candy Hough. Through my business, Angel Healing House, which can be found at angelhealinghouse.com. I'm a writer and an author, an international radio host, a Reiki master teacher, and an angel practitioner. My inspirational books entitled Angels of Faith and One True Home Behind the Veil of Forgetfulness, and my autobiography, I Am an Angelic Walk-In, are based on my recollections of our life in spirit, and they help us to remember our divine, eternal natures. Through Angel Healing House, I help people to let go of sadness, anger, bitterness, resentment, and regret that has kept them locked in the prison of the past, and I help them to let go of worry, stress, and control, which has kept them focused on an imagined future. And once they are no longer living in the past or the future, they can start to live in the present moment, which is the only place that they can experience synchronicities, miracles, and magic. As an angel practitioner, I help people to see their lives from a higher perspective with the help of an extraordinary group of angels who call themselves the Posse of Angels. Just like my angelic family, the Posse of Angels, I'm very excited to take some of your calls for that free angel advice. You can call into the show on 1-800-930-2819. But before we get to those callers, once again, welcome everyone to Angel Healing House Radio with myself, Candy Hough. Now, to start off, I'd like to share with you my first ever review for the newly released audiobook. Now, the print form of I Am an Angelic Walk-In, which is my autobiography, was released last year. I think actually was 2016. And there are lots of reviews for the hard copy, the print of that. But my first ever review for the audiobook on audible.com was posted just a few days ago. And this listener wrote, "The author's voice moved me to live her story right along with her as if I was there. Listening to Claire Candy's voice made her book come alive, so much more engaging than the first time when I'd read it. When I listened to it, I felt my heart swell with a desire to love, and I experienced feeling loved through her book. This book is an important reminder of how loved we are by a guiding force and powerful energy who is ever present within us. Thank you," and that's from Lisa. This listener, along with many others, are being moved by the incredible, sometimes harrowing, yet inspirational story of my angelic walk-in experience, which shows the power of love, the power of forgiveness, and allowing the grace of God to enter our lives by connecting to our divine, eternal natures. To purchase the audio book and, of course, to download it, please visit audible.com. I'd like to wish everyone a happy March. This is the first show, Angel Healing House show of March. And the Posse of Angels and I will be focusing. Last month, we focused on, with it being Valentine's Day, love and forgiveness for the whole month. But this month, we're going to be focusing on the marvelous, the magical, the miraculous as well. And we're going to tie all that in, and we're going to be speaking about manifestation in this wonderful month of March. And today's show, going along with that theme of manifestation, is the recipe for the fulfillment of your dreams. Now, this week, the posse of angels liken themselves to a store which is undergoing a stock take. They're really interesting sometimes. They explain to me that they're taking an overview of where much of the conscious collective now find themselves. They told me that there are certain points in our lives at which we are given, some would say, periodic reviews, which look at our progress as enlightened human beings. And rather than writing a grade at the top of our review of either a pass or a fail, or writing a comment like, we could do better, or we're just not trying hard enough, they always choose to put their emphasis on just how far we've come and how much we have achieved. Now, they are laughing, and they're saying that they didn't get to be angels by shining their heavenly light on people's faults, but rather on their successes and how much they are truly trying. They are saying that their recent stock take has revealed some monumental advances and breakthroughs that were not present 1 year ago at their last stock take. The posse of angels is applauding us, and they're saying that we, as a collective consciousness, have finally showed God and the angels just how important the fulfillment of our desires is to us and what we will do to achieve them. Because, as they've stated before, it's truly no good pleading and begging and screaming at the angels to fulfill our dreams if we do not make inspired movement towards that which our heart desires. Now, the posse of angels have often shown me a vision of a still pond, and they tell me that it's not until we throw a pebble in the pond, created by our inspirational and inspired action, that it creates ripples of movement going out in the direction that we wish to go. It is this self-made movement that brings back to us similar opportunities and connections to further our path in our desired direction. This is because it is we who have free will and must first make that decision on what we desire. And it is we that must take that first important step forward. Now, the angels cannot decide what that step will be, nor can they take that first step for us, no matter how much we would like them to. You know, I had a client who came to see me as she was suffering severe depression. Suzanne, now this is not her real name, but let's call her Suzanne. Suzanne told me about her childhood growing up on a farm in Australia. With her great love for horses and looking after them on her family's property, she dreamed of becoming a vet. She told me that she and her twin brother were very competitive in school, and both of them received very high marks throughout their schooling. When it came time for both of them to go to university, her parents paid for her brother, yet they told Suzanne to go out and get a job because they told her that she just eventually was going to get married and have children. Not being able to fulfill her dream of becoming a vet. After she completed high school, she went from job to unsatisfying job, and along the way, she had many unsatisfying, unsuccessful relationships. When I asked her if she was doing anything in her spare time to help animals, she said no. Well, the posse of angels and I then told her that just because she never became a vet, it did not mean that she must deny her joy of being around animals, and they suggested that she volunteer at her local SPCA. It was several weeks later that this client phoned me and told me about the miracle that had happened to her. She said that she decided to take my suggestion and she went down to her local SPCA to volunteer. When she arrived, she walked into the reception area and waited to speak with the receptionist who was on the phone. Looking around the room, her eye was suddenly drawn to a fluorescent green notice on the pinup board, which read, "Position at local farm for a seasoned horse handler. Room and board included with wage. Please call this number." As Suzanne read the note, she received a series of shivers and tingles all over, and she decided to call the number and set up an interview with the owners of the property. You know, when she stepped into their home to be interviewed for the position, she recognized the couple who had previously owned an adjacent property to her family's farm that Suzanne had grown up on. When the couple recognized and saw that it was Suzanne, they had already seen her proficiency and expertise in handling horses, and they offered her a job on the spot. Now, in Suzanne's case, once she had dropped her restricted expectation and attachment to only being able to service and help animals by becoming a vet, and she took inspired action to that which she absolutely loved, then God and the angels arranged an answer to the fulfillment of her dreams. All she needed to do was to put her focus on what she loved doing and to show the universe that she was committed to making her dream of helping and serving animals a reality. Now, the posse of angels is saying that this is the first ingredient to fulfill a passion or a dream. It's the step of commitment and love. The more you are committed, but when they say committed, it means being committed to the time, committed to the effort, committed to the focus and the energy towards the fulfillment of your desires, then just like a well-tended garden, which brings forth plentiful fruits, vegetables, and flowers. My mother was a gardener all her life, and I can tell you an extraordinary garden just does not happen. It takes time and effort and focus and energy, just like anything else that you want to bring forward into manifestation. And then your efforts towards the fulfillment of your desire, once we do all those things, then it must yield equal amounts of energy, of results for us. We may not see it right away. It may not come in the way that we're attached to it or expect it, but it will come. Now that they've spoken about commitment towards fulfilling our desires, here they come. The posse of angels wishes to talk about what you would give up for your desires and your dreams to come true. Okay, now all they're hearing is crickets. Some of you may be thinking, oh, nobody said that I'd have to give up something in order to achieve my dreams. I'll share with you an example of how I experienced what it means to give up something, but I mean something that you truly adore and cherish to receive the fulfillment of a life's dream. After marrying my beloved twin flame Pete in 2003, I moved into his incredible feng shui designed beachfront home along the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, Australia. The home was filled with light and had a huge atrium in the middle of the home filled with bamboo and a fountain to bring in the flow of wonderful chi energy. Now, having moved from the Gold Coast, which is about 2 hours south, to the Sunshine Coast, I reflected my I relocated my Reiki practice, and I built up a huge following of clients with lots of referrals. And I taught many master teachers and attuned them to Reiki. I held meditation nights and networking groups for healing practitioners. From 2003 to 2006, I wrote articles for magazines, and I channeled my first book. I'd manifested in those years since my angelic walk-in experience, which I write about, and is the audio book of I Am an Angelic Walk-In. I manifested my cherished and adored twin flame husband, Pete. I manifested this extraordinary home, and I manifested my wonderful, cherished business, Angel Healing House, and had many devoted clients and students and colleagues. But it was on a trip to the States in 2006 that I was standing on the beach in Carmel, California, when the voice of God said to me, "When you move to the States, this is the area you need to come to first." I turned to Pete and told him, "Hey, excuse me, this is what God just said to me." And he said, "But we are not moving to the States." When we returned to our beautiful home, I began to experience a feeling of hyperventilating and felt this great urgency to move. When I asked the posse of angels what the heck was going on, they showed me a vision of a cap and gown and told me that both Pete and myself had graduated, and that the next step for us to realize our projects and our dreams and our careers would only be possible by moving to the States. They then said that we would need to sell our beach home to fulfill this dream. And they said, "You will eventually buy another beach home, but do not worry, because this will then provide the funds for you to move on." It was very, very difficult for Pete to agree to sell his precious home, but Angel said to him, "How much are you willing to give up to realize your dream of working in the film industry?" Well, following the voice of the divine by listening to our heart's desires, we said goodbye to my incredibly successful business that I built up, and we sold our beloved home, which paid for our rent for several years as we reestablished ourselves in the States. And since moving to the States, we've met and made invaluable contacts and connections that have helped and facilitated our dreams coming true. Now, to recap, the first ingredient in the recipe for the fulfillment of your heart's desires is that we must demonstrate commitment and love for our dreams by making movement towards them. Take that inspired action. Secondly, we must be willing to give up things that have become too small for us in order to grow into the fulfillment of our desires. And even though we've added these two really important ingredients to our recipe, if we do not have this third ingredient, the recipe will never be a success. Once you've believed in your dreams, once you've committed fully to taking inspired action, you have given up anything, any expectations, attachments, any restrictions holding back the fulfillment of that dream coming in, one could completely stop themselves from ever realizing their desires by not allowing themselves to fully accept the rewards. And just because you've arrived at this precipice of the gates of your desires does not mean that you will allow yourself to open those gates and walk through and to truly accept what you've worked so hard for. Many people do hesitate to step any further because they worry how they're ever going to cope with the more rewarding possibilities that will come with their fulfilled desire and dream. Perhaps it will mean being thrust out into the public eye when you've lived a relatively well-ordered and quiet life. Maybe you'll hesitate to step forward and open those gates to your desires because it means that you'll be seen as an authority in your field And as such, you'll be given greater responsibility, and much will be asked of you and your time and your expertise. Now, if you are standing before those gates of your desires and hesitating, the gate will open. And if you're hesitating about whether to step forward or not, maybe your intentions for the achievement of this dream, perhaps it was not 100% clear. And while it was great to pursue this, the goal of achieving that dream might scare the heck out of some people. Maybe you're hesitating because you've built up the expectation of the fulfillment of your desires so much that one might be feeling let down, as if it really wasn't all that you thought it would be. For instance, the posse of angels is saying that if one has not already experienced love of self, happiness, peace, a contentment and a joy in their hearts, forgiveness, gratitude, and appreciation for their life just as it is, before the realization of any dreams coming true, then it's highly unlikely that by just walking through those gates of fulfillment to the answer of your prayers, that one would be a changed person. There will still be issues, relationships, issues to be brought back, full closure into divine alignment, back into love and forgiveness, and everything else that is maybe out of balance in your life will still need to be brought back into harmony. The posse of angels wishes for us to take time to go over these ingredients for the recipe to fulfill our desires. And if our intentions in our hearts are all for the most beneficial of reasons, not only for the greatest good of ourselves, but certainly, as the posse of angels and I always say, for the greatest good of all concerned, we will have no difficulty stepping forward when the magical opportunities present themselves for those gates to open for us. And I'd like you to know as well, and when I speak about the posse of angels, I'm speaking about me as well, because this is my angelic family. We are stepping into March, and we're in March now, but March and April and May will bring those of us that have cleared and cleansed much, those of us that have released our attachment and our expectation as to what should and has to and ought to come in. Once we understand that we're stepping into our mastery and only being of service to the highest level, because this 11 year is all about mastering ourselves and stepping into our mastery, then it's just to open ourselves and surrender and allow those gates to open for us in whatever way the God and the angels wish them for. And then with our mastery, we step through, knowing that we all have the wherewithal in order to do what we've co-created with them for the greatest good for the planet as well. So I'd like to, right before the break, we've got about 3 or 4 minutes left, I'd like to present an animal card to give us a little bit more of a message from our animal spirits. And the card that absolutely jumped out of the pack when I was shuffling before was Mr. Salmon. Salmon has jumped in. I mean, he literally leapt through the air with a very strong message, as many traditions consider salmon to be the oldest and the wisest of animals. Salmon returns once a year back to where he was hatched to spawn and continue the circle of life. With the conscious collective now entering March, we have all come full circle in our lives, and Salmon is showing us that we are now ready to leap into the next part of our journey with the energies of rebirth and rejuvenation there to guide all of us. It may seem that the salmon's upriver journey to the spawning grounds appears a struggle. However, the truth is very different, because when jumping upstream, There he goes. He's jumping. The salmon, in fact, does not fight the current, but he is propelled upstream by the reverse current flowing just beneath the surface. The message is to have trust that the universe is always working on our behalf, just out of sight, to bring each of us those things that will propel us into the next part of our journey. It's important to remember that life changes often take place in the time period when salmon shows up, and that the end of each cycle means a fresh new start. Just like the salmon, we need to allow ourselves to leap and to dance and to salmon salt. There he goes. He's salmon salting or somersault into March, allowing the open, innocent, and youthful child within all of us to be free, to be faithfully led by Spirit. So thank you, Salmon. You did a great job. Off he goes. And you have been listening to me, Claire Candy Hough, on Angel Healing House Radio. When we come back after the break, we'll be taking some of those calls for those free angel readings. You can call into the show on 1-800-930-2819 to receive those channeled messages from myself and the posse of angels. So don't go too far away. Be back soon, and we'll see you after the break.
Have you discovered the remarkable books at angelhealinghouse.com? Author Claire Candy Hough has channeled rare books of inspiration and insight.
Angels of Faith is an inspiring story of healing, comfort, and hope that reminds us that death is not to be feared, but embraced with joy.
One True Home, Behind the Veil of Forgetfulness, takes readers on a roller coaster ride through Angel Ariel's 5 most important lives on Earth, as well as her experiences in the afterlife, and helps us remember our own journey across the veil.
And Claire Candy's autobiography, I Am an Angelic Walk-In, which details the 2003 soul exchange that took place when Claire Candy walked out of her body and Angel Ariel walked in, creating heaven on earth for herself and others.
To find out more about these wonderful books, visit angelhealinghouse.com today. To see your life from an angel's perspective, book a personal consultation with Claire Candy Hough, Angelic Walk-In Angel Ariel at Angel Healing House. Candy provides intuitive counseling, Reiki, and angel readings in person in Los Angeles or nationally and internationally via phone or Skype. She will channel the practical tools you need to transform your life. Call now 831-277-3716 or visit angelhealinghouse.com.
Hello, everyone. You're back with me, Claire Candy Hough, on Angel Healing House Radio. And remember that Angel Healing House Radio can be heard every week at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on this lovely platform of Transformation Talk Radio. Before we get to those calls, I did want to, somebody sent me an email the other day and said that they felt kind of like they were in a little bit of a void. And I said, join the club, join the Conscious Collective, because we have really completed the first 2 missions that we came back to complete. Many of us have, let's say, not all of us, but many of us have. And she said, well, what 2 missions were that? And I said, well, first of all, the first mission was for us to awaken ourselves to our consciousness, to be more aware and not so much asleep. And once we did this, then we got shaken out of our darkness, if you want to say, and we started to enlighten. And we were so excited that many of us established healing practices, learned different modalities, went to different workshops, and then we tried to enlighten as many people as possible as we could through the work that we did. Okay, so that led us to the best part of about 2012, 2013, and it was at this stage that we were intuited, many of us, to then turn the mirror back on ourselves, stop saving and helping and enabling others, and a lot to the detriment of who we were, and start bringing forth our creative efforts. Start the blogs, start the newsletters, start the radio programs. Things like writing books, writing songs, sort of making films, doing YouTubes, doing tarot readings on YouTubes, providing services that way. But a lot of creative effort went into 2012 to 2017 to build our foundations. And now we find ourselves ready for the next part of our journey. And so what is going to come up for us and be presented to us in the spring, going into the summer in the Northern Hemisphere, certainly fall and autumn and winter, and going into those winter months in the Southern Hemisphere, is the next part of our journey. And this is a fulfillment to a prayer, a wish that we have long felt in our hearts. And so just be aware, as we're now into March, as spring is going forward, and of course in fall, autumn in the Southern Hemisphere, just be aware of what is presented to you. And if you're getting shivers, if you're getting goosebumps, if you're wiggling, like I've spoken about my wiggle on the program before, when I get excited about that fulfillment coming in, then do step forward, because you would not be presented with this if you didn't have all the wherewithal to do it. Okay, you might have to get a little bit sped up on learning a new language or a new skill set or something like that. But certainly with the work you've done and the effort that you've put in over the last 10, 12, 15 years, you will have all the wherewithal to do this. So I would love to know what that thing you always contact Angel Healing House, and that number to call certainly after the show is 831-277-3716, or you can go to my website, which is angelhealinghouse.com. Let's go to our first caller. We have the lovely Stephanie. Stephanie in New York. You're on the line with Claire Candy Hough at Angel Healing House Radio. How are you today?
Hi, I'm okay. I'm a little low energy, but other than that, I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay. And what are you doing to nurture and nourish yourself during this time of low energy?
I've been trying to rest, and I've been just trying to rest and drink liquids and all of that kind of that kind of stuff. I have a slight fever, but it comes and goes, which is kind of strange.
Okay. Are you, let me see, they say starve a cold and feed a fever, but I'm not sure if it's the other way around. but the main thing to do when we are feeling under the weather is to really respect the body. A lot of times we just go, and I'm not saying this about you, but many people, say, oh, it's only a slight cold. We might take something to suppress the symptoms, but they never go away. And if we don't get the right rest, if we don't get the right fluids, one of the things which helped me, Stephanie, when I had a very, very bad, if you want to call it a cold or a flu, was colloidal silver. And that was wonderful to boost my immune system. Taking raw garlic was a wonderful antibacterial for me. But probably the best thing, which I've continued since then, was liquid probiotics. And 70% of illnesses do begin in the gut. In the gut.
Yeah.
In the gut. So make sure you have a wonderful probiotic, and you're taking that regularly, even after. And with the colloidal silver, I mean, that is such an immune boosting thing that I was taking it 5 or 6 times a day, but since then I take it like once a day just to keep my immune system high. So there are certain things, and massive doses of vitamin C, all those things. So there are certain things that you can do to work with the physical symptoms that your body is lovingly giving you in order for you to maintain good health.
Yeah. Thanks for the reminder. I mean, I was thinking maybe it's just, energy shifts and just changes and things like that. But maybe it is just a little bug. So.
Well, let me see. I'm asking them if it's also energetic, and they're saying yes. I mean, we've just come out of a full moon. Full moon. If you're if you're an empath, if you feel things very deeply, the full moon can, just get you off kilter. But this does sound like it's a little bit more than that. So you're doing a lot of wonderful things to really nurture yourself during this time. And just don't be so hard on yourself.
Okay. Thank you. And
You're welcome.
And then my question was it was just sort of more open. I just sort of feel kind of lost or stuck or, so some kind of, and even when you were talking earlier, I was like, wow, I don't even know if I do have access to like a dream right now. I sort of feel a little, some guidance maybe from them about what direction to go in or just in general. But
I'm really glad that you asked this question because a lot of people are saying, well, the dream or the intention or the desire that I had before, it doesn't seem to be as strong as it is now, and there's nothing really to replace it. I kind of feel like I'm in no man's land. It's, not that I don't have purpose, but I'm kind of, it's a good way you put it. I'm kind of feeling a little bit lost. And that's because the dreams that we had before, we've outgrown basically. I was going to say they served a purpose. They served a purpose to get us to this level. But now it's almost as if we have to let go and surrender. And one thing, I'm shuffling the cards. While I'm shuffling the cards, one thing that you can do is say, thank you. Thank you for presenting me with something that's fun. Thank you for presenting me with something that I would love doing, that nourishes me, that fulfills my gifts and talents. I work with lovely people and lovely surroundings, and I'm so excited to step forward into that. Just saying that gets me excited. I don't have to know what it is because the angels know us better than we know ourselves, and they know what we're going to ask even before we've asked it. That's how well they know us. So they are, and they're always working under the surface to bring us those things that will help our soul to grow and to help us to be of best service. So I'll shuffle the cards and see what comes out, but don't take it so personally, because we are all, as a conscious collective, going through this. I wanted to show you these lovely cards. I got these cards yesterday. They're the Animal Tarot cards, and they're by Doreen Virtue and Radley Valentine. And since Doreen has decided to do away with all her cards, as she's, some of you might know, some of you might not know, that she's gone completely off tarot cards and ascended masters and things like that. But So somebody was telling me that they're not making these anymore, but there's something that caught my attention and thought, oh, I must get those. So anyway, I'm going to pull 3 cards for the lovely Stephanie and see what comes out for her. See what animals come in, like our beautiful salmon that jumped into our reading today on our program. Okay. This first card is the World card, and that's a great card to get. I mean, really, Stephanie, the World card, for those who do know tarot, is not only about endings, it's about beginnings. It's about completion. And this lovely Shetland sheepdog, I don't know, for those on Facebook TV Live who are watching me, look at that. Isn't he a cutie face? He is so cute. He's standing there with the laurel wreath around him. And it says, congratulations on successfully accomplishing what you set out to do. You've made it through the challenges and incorporated the lessons of life offered you with grace and courage. So they're saying that in this time of rest and recuperation, they want you to really give yourself credit for all that you've done that has led you on this path now. And that goes for all of us. We may be quiet or we may be stagnant, and things might not be meeting our expectations of how we things should or ought to or had to have happened up until now. But they really do want to give us credit for completing that first mission and just allow that new beginning to happen in the most extraordinary way possible. And please don't push it. Don't ask for it to happen right now, because the people, the places, the things, situations, and events may not be in place in order for it to happen, not only for the greatest good of ourselves, but the greatest good of all concerned. So thank you, Mr. Shetland Sheepdog. The next card that comes out for you, oh, and this is so much like the salmon. Okay, this is the raccoon. It's the number 20 card, and those who do know tarot, that's the Judgment card. And it's all about renewal. It's about rebirth. It's about a new phase. So showing pregnant with possibilities, not actual pregnancy, but that we're all rebirthing something. And there are those adorable raccoons peeking out, baby raccoons peeking out from a hole in the tree. And it's saying it's time to get clarity about your life and to make changes so that you're on the path most divinely suited to you. Forgive what has been without judgment and fearlessly embrace what is to come. These cards are wonderful out of this 78 deck. This is a life-changing moment for so many of us. And it simply can't be understated how important it is that where we've marched towards on those 2 missions, even though we might not have been conscious that we've been on a mission, of fulfilling that for ourselves, for our families, for the world, for the planet. But these 2 cards are really important. 21 and 20 cards, the World and the Renewal card, which is the Judgment card. And the next one, oh my gosh, I love this. I did shuffle this deck. The next card is the Sun.
23.
What's that?
Is it number 23?
No, it can't be number 23 because there are only 22 cards in a tarot deck. This card is number 19. This is the Sun card. And it's got a beautiful bluebird on it, the bluebird of happiness. Oh, my gosh. And the message is your plans will all work out well, bringing you happiness, prosperity, and success. You'll garner the recognition for your accomplishments you so richly deserve. We've got 21, we've got 20, and then 19. They are all major arcana cards. The sun in the tarot deck, no matter where it lands, is a wonderful omen. It's a wonderful omen of radiance, of illumination, of the sun shining on our efforts, and bringing in just beautiful opportunities and connections for us. Now, we could have, I'm just going to hold these up. We could have pulled the sun card first, then we could have pulled the renewal card and then the world card, but we didn't. What we did was we pulled the world card 21, then the renewal card the 20, and then the 19. And going down in that descending order tells me that with each passing day or each passing week or whatever, it is counting down to the next part of our journey to be shown to us. And these couldn't be any more clear that for you and also for the conscious collective that we have completed a cycle. And when you complete a cycle, it's important to rest. It's important to say, okay, I've worked so hard. Where shall I put my emphasis on maybe cleaning up my diet, on possibly, making exercise more a priority for me by doing fun things. One thing that I've been doing in this quiet time for me is I've been restudying my Italian language. Many years ago, I learned Italian quite extensively when I was in Australia, and I'm very rusty, and so I'm having fun going online and improving my skills. When something hasn't arrived yet, don't just wait, create. Okay, don't just wait. Create during the time and fill yourself with joy and excitement and passion. And if you do get frustrated, say thank you. Thank you for this time out opportunity. So when the new does come in, I will be renewed. I just can't get over how wonderful these cards are. So I hope this has been helpful for you, Stephanie.
Yeah, it has, except I'm not really clear what the completion would be. I was thinking about that when you were talking. And
okay, all right. They'll tell you what the completion is. You have been calling into this program for quite some time. And when you came to see me, you are not the same person. You are not the same person. You are softer. You are more gentle. You have brought a lot of your relationships and your feelings about them into alignment. And you've filled yourself with more peace and forgiveness. And that's a wonderful completion. And they want you to recognize that and to not only respect and honor yourself, but they want you to give yourself wonderful credit for that. And that's a huge completion for you. So I hope that's been helpful for you, sweetie.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. You look after yourself, and sending you extra healing for you to feel better. Take care.
Thank you so much. You too. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. And I absolutely loved those cards. I mean, to get the world card is a completion. It's a completion of the path that we have been on and that we've worked so hard for. I mean, you think back to your own life and the relationships, all the jobs you've let go of, all those relationships that were no longer honoring and respectful to you and in your life, and how you stepped up and brought clarity to them and decided that if they weren't honoring and respecting you, to let you go. And what you did was you created space in your life for more honor and respect to come in. There's so many different facets of our life that we've cleaned up our diets. We have cleaned up the mental clutter. We've cleaned up the clutter in our closets. and now we find ourselves at this new threshold. I'm going to, just in the next 3 minutes of the program, I'm going to pull 3 more cards and see what comes out for us. Give us a little bit more of a message, although I don't know how much more grand the message could be. Getting the world card, the completion. We're now in a time of our salmon salting, little messenger that came in of spawning, hatching and spawning, about rejuvenation and renewing ourselves during this really important time in between going into the next mission, or the next thing we're going to be presented with, and certainly the sun card shining a light on our efforts. So, okay, this is a rather big deck, and it does take a long time to shuffle. So let me just go here and see what we pull out. A couple of cards just for a little bit more of a message on where we are. Love it. Absolutely adore it. This is the King of Wands. And look at how regal that lion is. And the message is, now's your moment to step up to a leadership role. This is an 11 year. It's a year of stepping into our mastery. Don't back away from the spotlight. Yes, many of us are going to be thrust out into the spotlight as authorities, and be given more responsibility as a result of that. As your plans will be successful as long as you stay focused upon the big picture and you keep asking how to be best of service, and you keep stepping up for that. So that's a wonderful, wonderful card to go along with the other 3 that we had. What's the next card? Oh my gosh, the next card is the star card. You will be the star. You are the star. This is the Oriole. You are about to take a big leap forward with your life. Worry will be replaced with optimism, fear with hope, and joy is coming home to roost. Oh my gosh. I just absolutely adore this reading today. Out of the 5 cards we've pulled, we have 4 major arcana cards. And the next card is the Fool. I cannot believe this reading. The next card is the Dreamer in this deck, which Fool is, there's a dog jumping over a stream, chasing butterflies. This is the dreamer in all of us, the dreaming those dreams into reality. And it says you are starting a new adventure. Run free and take that leap of faith. And that's the last thing that I will leave you with, is that when you are presented with the gates of heaven opening for you, answering your dreams, your intentions, your wishes, and your desires, all those things, even if you don't consciously know it, even if it's an unconscious intention or dream, allow yourself to take that massive leap forward. Out of that 6 reading, out of those 6 cards I pulled today, 5 of them were major arcana cards. And that wraps the show up for today. Thank you. Thank you to Stephanie for calling in. And if you want to listen to the show, please do remember that Angel Healing House Radio airs every week at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on its home of Transformation Talk Radio. And to go and to purchase my books, you can either go to Amazon, One True Home, Behind the Veil of Forgetfulness, and I Am an Angelic Walk-In. And there's my beautiful book, which is not on hand now, but Angels of Faith. Please go to my website, angelhealinghouse.com, for all the information. And you can also call 831-277-3716. Also, the audiobook for I Am an Angelic Walk-In is now out on audible.com, so you can purchase and download that. Take care, everyone. Go forth and fashion an absolutely beautiful life for yourself. love, and as always, angel blessings. And I look so forward to speaking with you again next week. Take care. Bye.